Welcome back to another Doberlander adventure. Today we'll explore the city of Butte, Montana. Butte was established as a mining camp in the 1860s, and it quickly became the nation's biggest supplier of copper. Butte is nicknamed the richest hill on earth because of all the rich mineral deposits, copper, and gold that was mined in the area. Butte mining and smelting operations generated over $48 billion worth of ore. Roughly 20 of the old mining headframes still stand today over the mine shafts, and the city still has a lot of historic commercial and residential buildings from the boom times, which give it a very old-fashioned appearance. The influx of miners in Butte gave it a reputation as a wide-open town. The city's saloon and red light district was called the Line, or the Copper Block, centered on Mercury Street, where the famous Dumas brothel is. The old brothel is open for tours in the warmer months but closed in the winter due to not having heat in the building. The red light district brought miners and other men from all over the region and remained open until 1982.
Got up here closer to this and it says the Con. Mountain Consolidated, 1886 to 1974. 5,291 feet deep. Mine deaths 172. Is the world's largest copper producer. All right, we made it up here to the top of this one. There's a sign over here, probably tells us about it. The Con head frame, men lowered and ore raised. The Anaconda Copper Mining Company erected the Mountain Consolidated, or simply the Con, mine head frame in 1928. Towering 129.5 feet, the steel head frame and 5 idler towers replaced smaller wooden structures. The steel structures are easily seen in the photo at far right. The hoist house or engine room located on the hill above lowered men and equipment into the mine and raised ore from the mine. The Con headframe is the second tallest of the 12 surviving steel headframes on Butte Hill. Shaft drops 5,300 feet. Below the headframe, a mine shaft dropped almost 5,300 feet down to access crosscuts, horizontal tunnels, and drifts that intersected and followed the copper veins. The copper-bearing ore was raised to the surface and offloaded into ore bins to await shipment via the Butte, Anaconda, and Pacific Railroad to concentrators and smelters in Anaconda. Head frames, also known in Butte as a gallus or gallows frame, were symbols of the community. In the heyday of underground mining, electricians and ropemen decorated them every Christmas and lit them each Thanksgiving Eve. The tradition continues today as volunteers light the city's remaining head frames every Christmas season. Looks like we might be able to see inside of there. Let's look. Yeah, that's cool. And there's this little building right over here. Not sure what it was used for. No way to see in that one though. Here's kind of hard to video this with the clouds. It's real dark. Well, let's go up and see what else we can find up here. Oh, look back in there. There's like another little building back in there. Right there. Came up here, up above that site, so I could get a better look at the building up top here. From down there, I thought it was a stone building. Now that I'm up here, I don't think it is. Wow, what a view up here, though. Yeah, great view up here. See what all these signs say up here. 1866 Centerville, the town at the crest of the richest hill on earth. And it lists a couple places. Looks like Hennessy's. Maybe it was a department store or something. The Mountain Con Mines number 1 and 2. The Mullen House, St. Lawrence Church, Centerville, looks like railroad line, Centerville Hotel, Blaine School, and Hibernia Hall. Looks like some more structures here. Adams First School in Silverbow. Green Mountain Mine with Gray Rock Mine in the back. Barker Paint Company, a church, another mine, and a store. Mines of Centerville. The first mining claim in Centerville and the third in Silverbow County was the Moscow lode made by Geo Humphreys and William Allison in 1864. Placer claims were established in all gulches, particularly the Missoula Gulch, which bordered Centerville on the west, and the Buffalo, which ran through the center of town. The first record of people living in Centerville was in 1866, where 40 men and 5 women were placer mining for gold in Buffalo Gulch. The next 9 years, gold mining continued to decline until the Silver Era, which started in 1875. Mines like the La Plata, Baker, Snoozer, and Clear Grit were developed and were rich in silver ore. The silver production would continue until crash of 1893. The first Centerville copper mines in the 1870s were the Buffalo, Mountain Claims 1, 2, and 3, and the Burnett. The Mountain Consolidation Mining Company was formed in 1881 from 6 mining claims, and its Mount Con mine would become the highest producer of copper in the United States and would be the first mine to reach 1 mile underground. The diamond would have the first steel frame in the Butte area in 1898. Centerville area would have over 70 mining claims, and some of the very high producers of copper, silver, and zinc were the Bell, Gray Rock, Green Mountain, Wake Up Jim, Raven Cora, Poulin, Pacific, Estrella, Old Glory, Dirtier, and Little Minha. Today, only 2 Gaulis frames, or head frames, in Centerville survive, the Diamond and the Mount Con. Here's pictures of them up here. And that's this one here, the Mount Con mine. Some miners back in the 1880s. That was a big mine there. So was the Bell mine. That one was big too. Here's the 100-foot level of this mine up here. It's a neat old looking building. They got it roped off so I can't go look inside it, but we can see this much of it. It's pretty cool looking. I think that bottom is a stone or cement foundation on the bottom of it. And then aluminum, it looks like. All right, let's go see what else we can find up here. If you get a chance to come up here and check out this town or this area, you come up here to look at this copper mine, and they have this really nice picnic area with shade or shelter from the rain. You got bathrooms up here. Be a great day to just come up for a picnic. They've got some barbecues. You can see over here, up here. It's dog friendly. They got doggy bags up here. Definitely come check it out if you're ever going through Butte. Looks like this trail might go down with a overview of the city. Let's go see if I don't fall on my butt. Oh, this is Dublin Gulch. Right here. An important role, although nothing remains to indicate that the Dublin Gulch neighborhood was once home to hundreds, it played an integral part of the founding of Butte. The Gulch was home to large families from Ireland who came to work in the mines. Most men worked for the Anaconda Copper Mining Company in later years, and most women worked in the home and cared for their families. People lived on small incomes, battled tough conditions, survived hard winters, and endured adverse environmental impacts from the surrounding mining operations. From the late 1940s, when the Kelly mine was erected, until the mid-1970s, the neighborhood boasted less than about 30 homes. Few people had cars in Dublin Gulch, so walking was the main means of transportation. Neighbors with cars generously gave rides to anyone walking to town or to church. And often you'd see two families piled into a car, kids on top of kids, on the way to Mass on Sunday morning. Although hard to envision, a few families had yards with grass, lilac bushes, crabapple trees, honeysuckle, mountain ash trees, and rhubarb. Set apart from the rest of the town, Gulch residents naturally formed a human network of mutual aid. Loud and clear requirements existed for those living here: stick together, help one another, and know which kids belonged to which parents. Mothers often sent an extra plate or two for dinner, and almost daily made extra PB&J sandwiches for lunch. The adults socialized together, and families took summer vacations together. The kids had everything they needed in the Gulch: mud pies made from tainted soil, and every sport and game imaginable. And the large black granite rocks that dotted the landscape were perfect settings for playhouses, bakeries, and restaurants. In clusters, they became forts draped with branches, igloos with stacked snow, and ideal places for small fires to warm ice-cold hands. Got nice little benches up here too. If it was a nice warm day, it'd be fun to come up here and sit, but today it's cold. Probably see the snow flurries in my camera every once in a while. Historic district. So we're right there. See there? It's one of the largest in America. From this vantage point, the vast size and scale of the Butte portion of the Butte Anaconda National Historic Landmark District can be fully appreciated. Originally designated in 1961, the Historic Landmark District was expanded in 2005 to include the communities of Walkerville and Anaconda, and the 26-mile-long Butte, Anaconda, and Pacific Railroad. The Landmark District includes over 6,000 historic buildings and structures and ranks one of the largest historic districts in the country. Down at the bottom it says the Butte Hill is called the richest hill on earth. This is a photo from 1925. Which you can see a lot of those old buildings down there. I'll have to go down there and try to identify some of those.
This is the site of the Granite Mountain Memorial that pays tribute to the 168 miners that were killed in Butte on June 8th of 1917 when the largest hard rock mining disaster in the United States, known as the Granite Mountain Spectacular Mine Disaster, happened. It occurred as a result of a fire in a copper mine. Most men died of suffocation underground as the fire consumed their oxygen. There are several plaques that tell the story of the miners, as well as 6 audio recordings that were created by Poindexters, who got the information for the recordings from a cassette tape with an interview from Elmer Miller, who was the last known survivor of the fire, as well as info from interviews of family members, quotes from survivors, and newspaper articles. The memorial opened June of 2010 and is located atop the richest hill on Earth with views of abandoned mining equipment.
The Granite Mountain Speculator Mine Fire. In early 1917, Butte was a unionized industrial city with a population of almost 100,000 people. Home to one of the largest mining operations in the world, the abundance of employment opportunities drew workers from every corner of the globe. No smoking signs posted in the mines were printed in 16 different languages. More than 30 languages were spoken among the city streets. In April, 4 months into the United States' involvement in World War I, came a heightened demand for copper. Butte Mines met this increased demand by operating around the clock, working the 14,500 miners like mules in steadily deteriorating safety conditions. Beds in the boarding houses often never went cold because many of the miners were sleeping in shifts as well. Despite these demanding work conditions, Butte miners worked with a pride and determination seldom found above ground, let alone half a mile below the surface of the earth. On the evening of June 8, 1917, 410 men were lowered into the Granite Mountain shaft to begin another backbreaking night shift. Earlier in the day, a crew had begun the process of lowering a 3-ton signal cable down the shaft to complete work on a sprinkler system designed to protect against fire. At 8 p.m., the cable slipped from its clamps and fell into a tangled coil below the 2,400-foot level. As it fell, the lead covering was torn away, exposing a large portion of oiled paraffin paper, which was used to insulate the cable. At 11:30 that night, 4 men went down to examine the cable. One of the men accidentally touched his handheld carbide lamp to the cable insulation, which immediately ignited the oily paper. The flame then spread to the shaft timbers, quickly filling the Granite Mountain and speculator shafts with thick, toxic smoke. In the confusion that ensued, just over half of the men working the depths of the Granite Mountain shaft were able to find an escape to the surface. One group of 29 men built a bulkhead to isolate themselves from the smoke and gas for 38 hours before making their way to safety. In the 2,254-foot crosscut, another group of 8 men were found behind a makeshift bulkhead over 50 hours from the start of the fire. 2 of these men died shortly before their rescue, but the other 6 were recovered safely. Though the intensity of the fire cannot be disputed, only 2 men were actually burned to death in a rescue attempt at the onset of the blaze. The rest were simply trapped and overcome by the noxious, suffocating fumes. By the close of the rescue operation on June 16, 1917, 8 days after the fire had begun, the death toll had reached its final tally of 168 men. While the Granite Mountain Speculator Mine Fire was the worst disaster in metal mining history, the rescue mission was a remarkable accomplishment. Rescue crews succeeded in searching over 30 miles of drifts and crosscuts and at least 15 miles of stopes, raises, and manways. Townspeople turned out in droves to help in whatever way possible. This was done in just over 7 days in an environment saturated with carbon monoxide and dense tar-laden smoke. 155 bodies were recovered and removed, all without the loss of a single rescue worker. Despite the tremendous damage the fire caused to the Granite Mountain mine, removal of ore continued until the mines closed in 1923. The Butte mines produced the copper that helped electrify America and win World War I. Even in the face of tragedy, Butte was being called the richest hill on earth, referencing the soul and determination of the community rather than the value of the ore beneath its feet.
Core Compressor. That's what that is. The Core Compressor station, its refrigeration unit, is directly in front of you, played a major role on the hill by supplying compressed air to power hoist engines, drills, and other mining equipment via a network of pipelines traversing the entire hill. Using the defunct Core mine complex, it replaced the high ore compressor plant, which was engulfed by the Berkeley pit. The Core Compressor represents a consolidation of Anaconda Copper Mining Company properties spread across the hill and was a significant mining technological advance. That's what that is. Core Compressor.
Thanks for joining us on another Doberlander adventure, and we'll see you out on the next adventure.